Feel most welcome. Today is Feel most welcome. Today is 23rd of July 2017 and it is a Sunday. Today we are going to discuss about investments. Investments is our topic today, and specifically we will focus on giving advice for equity investors. If you are an investor who is, or an upcoming investor who is planning to invest on equities such as the stock exchange, then you are most welcome. For those of you who might find this to be very technical, don't worry about this episode. Just skip and wait for tomorrow when we will go back to our normal discussions. So there are a number of things as an investor you need to know, because investment is not a walk in the park or a bed of roses. We know that it can be risky, and therefore for you to protect yourself you need to consider the following advice. Number one, you need to cover yourself with protection. You have to protect yourself in the equity marketplace. It is important for you to have non-investment resources, e.g. life insurance and medical insurance. This is very important for you. You will fall back on this insurance should any emergency occur to you or your family members. In addition, keep some reserves in a safe and liquid investment. These reserves will come handy in covering unforeseen emergencies in your life. It is stupid of you to think that nothing will happen to you. Always prepare for the future and for any emergencies or eventualities that will arise. Every family should have a reserve of funds to pay for unexpected medical bills or provide caution during a time of unemployment. The whole rule of the term was to have a year's living expenses, which should be kept in assets that could be converted to cash quickly and without great loss or end loss. A reserve that covers 3 months of expenses is satisfactory. Large future expenditures should be funded with short-term investments whose maturity matches the date on which the funds will be needed. So you have to be smart. If you know that you are going to pay school fees for your children or one of your children, then you should invest on some kind of investment, short-term investment, which you know that its maturity will come handy or will happen at the same time or will coincide with the time when that child will be going to school. So that once it matures, you use the money to pay for school fees. And you know, paying school fees is a large expenditure in Kenya and beyond. The second piece of advice for investors is to know your investment objectives. It is important as an investor for you to know your investment objectives. What are your objectives as an investor? Do not skip this important step in the investment process. The consequences will be dire. What degree of risk are you willing to assume? You should answer that question as an investor. We could all like to double our capital overnight, but how many of us can afford to see a half of their capital disintegrate just as quickly? I know it is not many people who could like to see their investment disappear as quickly as in one day, but there are many people who could like to double their investment overnight. So it is just human nature. There are people who cannot sleep at night because of their investments. People who invest in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, in the New York Stock Exchange, in the London Stock Exchange, but they cannot sleep at night well because they fear, they even dream bad dreams about losing their investments. This is normal, but it should not be the case. If you fear losing your capital due to changes in the stock exchange, then you should learn how to invest adequately and or to that level where you can sleep at night peacefully. Maybe one of the best ways to make sure that you do not lose your investment is to keep your money in the bank account. Putting your money in the bank account is the safest way to be sure that what you put into that bank account is what you will get out of it. So a bank account seems to be the safest investment of all. You are sure you will withdraw every dollar, every or euro or Kenyan shillings that you put into a bank account. The stock market is like gambling casino, where the odds are rigged in favor of the players. So in issues of stock market, it's just like a gambling casino where there are odds of losing money, there are odds of making profits or gaining money. Real estate is also very tricky and often a sleepless investment. Nevertheless, returns from real estate have been generous in the past number of years. Especially here in Kenya, the landlords are making a killing from real estate because there is a high demand for housing in the country. And more people are moving from the rural areas to towns or to urban areas, Nairobi being one of the towns experiencing highest level of migration from rural to urban areas. You are sure to withdraw every dollar. It is very important that you understand yourself before you choose your vehicle of investment. If you do not have a high affinity for dealing with roses, then you should be careful. Advice number 3: dodge your taxpayer wherever you can. Avoiding paying taxes legally is allowed. Did you know that you pay no income taxes on money invested in a retirement plan until you actually retire and use the money? So that's something which you can use to your advantage. You can invest some of your money in retirement plans so that you avoid paying taxes every month or every quarter or every year, so that you can pay that tax at the end of the retirement plan or at the maturity of the retirement plan. That way you have dodged the taxpayer. Number 4, be competitive. Let your cash reserves keep pace with inflation. Be competitive. Let your tax reserves keep pace with inflation. If you keep your money in a savings bank account and get 3% interest rate per year, in which the inflation rate exceeds that 3%, then you will lose really purchasing power. This means that if you are keeping your money in a savings bank account, then you should put the money in a bank which gives you interest rate which is higher than the inflation rate. It is even worse because the interest you earn is subject to regular income taxes. So it is not only that you might lose your purchasing power, but the money you put in a savings account is subject to regular income taxes. Every time you are paid those interests from the bank, you give withholding taxes or income taxes. So what should you do as an investor? As an investor, you should invest in treasury bills. The only problem is that they are issued in large denominations. So until recently, when we saw that they are trading government securities on mobile phones with little amounts, as little as 3,000 shillings, before then, for you to purchase treasury bills, you had to have a minimum of 50,000. So it was quite troublesome for young investors who do not have enough money to purchase these government securities. Government securities cannot give you sleepless nights because they are more reliable, and the chances of you losing your money is zero, because governments have an obligation to pay their debts. So when you lend your money to the government, they have to pay you the principal and also the interest earned by that money while they are keeping it. They give you the interest plus the principal at the maturity time. There are 4 short-term investment instruments that can help you stand up to inflation. These are, number 1, money market mutual funds. Number 2, money market deposits accounts. Number 3, bank certificates. Number 4, tax exempt money market funds. So we will look at the first one, which can help you deal with inflation, which is money market mutual funds. And this provides the best instrument for many investors' needs. They combine safety, high yields, and the right to withdraw money with no penalty attached. So using those 4 ways to fight inflation, that is the money market mutual funds, the money market deposit accounts, the bank certificates, and the tax exempt money market funds, your money will be safe. You will be able to fight inflation more effectively. Up to that point, this is the end of this episode. We urge you to subscribe to our YouTube channel on the subscription button below, and please leave your comments on the comment section. If you have any questions about investments, we will be glad to answer those questions in our next episodes. Until we see you in the next video, thank you very much for listening and following us. Subscribe and also click on the notifications so that every time we release a new video on how you can invest your money safely, you will be the first one to be notified. Thank you very much.